All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's webinar. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Greg Barnes, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager for Horner Express Worldwide. I've been with the company for almost 18 years now, and doing the presentation this morning for us is Mike Klafka. So Mike's a Territory Sales Manager with AquaCal and Autopilot, and he's been in the industry for over 20 years now. Mike's area, he covers Canada, Northeast United States, the Midwest United States, and most recently, over the last year or so, he's been traveling for us to some of the Caribbean countries as well. So he's very experienced with some of those markets too. Mike is an industry leader in the area of sales and technical training for swimming pool heat pumps and salt systems. So there's nobody better in the industry to guide us through some of the AquaCal training this morning. So he's going to do the presentation. If you'd like to ask questions during the presentation, that's fine. But we'll also allow for some time at the end of the presentation if you'd like to ask some questions there too. So without further ado, over to you, Mike.
Gregory, thank you so much, and welcome everybody. Again, as Gregory said, I've been doing this with AquaCal for a little over 20 years and absolutely enjoy what I do. I look forward to sharing with you everything I know about swimming pool heat pumps, AquaCal particularly, and how we can help you grow your businesses. I'm going to start with a little bit of history of AquaCal and why people choose our products and benefits in pool heating in general. We all know that maximizing the enjoyment of your swimming pool is really the main investment, and that your family can exercise, relax, and swim and entertain in warm water, even when the water is cooler and the air outside is cooler. There's other advantages to AquaCal heat pumps. In hot climates, we can cool the water down as well. Exercise and therapeutic value. That's a huge advantage when you have a heat pump because you can manage the water's temperature real close to those temperatures desired. And more importantly, quality time and enjoyment with all your families and friends. Why many people choose AquaCal is the fact that it's affordability. You can heat your pool for about 25% of the cost of natural gas and other fossil fuels like propane and oil. There's a greater savings in those areas. AquaCal heat pumps typically last 12 to 15 years. We have some that have lasted even longer in certain parts of the country when they're well maintained. The other concept of AquaCal and heat pumps in general is that you're able to heat your pool the entire swim season and not just intermittently. I go with dealers often to talk to them about what that means. And that actually gives them the advantage when they're selling against someone that strictly sells natural gas or fossil fuels. The ability to put the heat pump on, leave it on, and have it maintain the pool water temperature is really an advantage and gives you a full swim season. When you consider an investment in a swimming pool is thousands of dollars, you want to get the same enjoyment out of in the entire season versus just a few weekends because fossil fuel can be so expensive. You're allowed to heat your pool. I shouldn't say allow, you can heat your pool whether there's rain or shine. You're not limited to that. Solar technology, solar PVA panels, those are a desired method of heating at times. However, in rain, cloudy weather, they can't maintain the heat. A heat pump can. Heat pumps are considered green and virtually no effect on the carbon footprint as well. That's a big, important part today as we're trying to keep the earth air clean. Carbon footprints down to zero is a goal of everyone. When you think of COPs, the coefficient of performance, that's what that means. It's simply put this way. For every energy dollar you purchase, you can get upwards of $7 of energy out of that investment. When you talk to that in natural gas or fossil fuels, there's never a transition of 100% return, meaning if you purchase $1 of natural gas, the best you might be able to accomplish is 75 to 80% back, or 80 cents on that energy dollar. Similarly, with propane and oil, you're not able to necessarily get those great returns either. So a heat pump allows for, in its coefficient of performance, the ability to get the most of your energy dollar when investing in heating your pool and that body of water. How a heat pump works, many of you now may know heat pumps have been around quite a long time, more than 40 years. The technology has advanced in such a way that most people understand, but we're going to talk about that. what and how a heat pump actually works. We talk about that as taking free heat from the outside air and transferring it to your pool. Well, the temperature outside might change. There's still heat available. A heat pump doesn't burn energy at all to create heat. It simply is transferring that heat from the air into your pool via a few components: a compressor, a fan, and a microprocessor for measuring temperatures. A heat pump considered a mechanical collector of solar energy. So those that focus on solar energy and solar concepts, this is an alternative that keeps them in that same realm. Solar energy, a mechanical collector being a heat pump, a passive collector being solar panels. That's the difference in those two. The other advantage of a mechanical collector is it's not susceptible to, as I said previously, rain or shine, cloudy weather. It will always work in the climates it's faced with. Many of our heat pumps can also cool, as I said earlier. That gives an advantage to many of the markets that I cover in the Northeast, with the surgence of cold plunge applications, and people wanting to do cold plunge as well as heating in smaller bodies of water. This allows for that. And again, the process results in as much as 710% efficiency when you consider the coefficient of performance when all things are at their optimum. When you visualize how a heat pump works, that's what we're looking at here. This is a picture of one of our SQ units and how the heat is drawn across the evaporator coil, which is the outside framework of a heat pump. That fan that's at the top is going to pull the air across that outside evaporator coil. And as the compressor operates based on its desired temperature to pull heat out, it's going to extract heat through that evaporator coil, transfer it into the heat exchanger. So what will happen is cold air will come from the top of the unit when it's in heating mode. And in return, warm water is going to be returning back to the pool. When you think of a cooling application, that air is being drawn across the evaporator coil, and hot air is going to come out and cold air is going to go in when you talk about cooling applications. And we have that in a number of our units. So the ability to cool and heat is an option with AquaCal super quiet line reversing units. And the function is basic: warm air coming in, cold air coming out when you heat, warm air coming in, hotter air coming out when you're cooling. Cool water in, warm water out when you're heating, cool water in, colder water out when you're chilling. It's a great concept. It's simple and easy to explain in most cases. This tool that you're seeing today is one of the tools that we use with most all pool builders, retailers, service companies to explain this to homeowners. It's really a great way to get a basic understanding of how a heat pump works, because the heat pump transfers free heat from the air to your swimming pool. It's a mechanical collector of solar energy, and it's ultra efficient in most all applications, especially when the weather is just right. And even when the weather gets colder, we have the option of continuing the heat because of our reversing cycle capabilities. Let's talk a little technical about how that operation takes place. This is a great diagram to get into the weeds with those guys and gals that like to understand the real mechanics of it. There's 6 steps to this. And if you look at your diagram, it's pretty simple to follow and understand. We're going to look at the very center of the page, and you start with your cool liquid refrigerant 410A. It's already been started at AquaCal, where we're converting to the newest refrigerant technology now. We're already getting all those things in work. We're being ready to prepare and get those launched by the timing, I believe, is the 2025. Everything will be in the new refrigerant. So that happens simply the same way as you see here. So we have our 410A referenced, and once we have changed the refrigerant line, that'll be changed as well. But if you take this cycle line here at space 1, from that liquid refrigerant, we go through the evaporator coil. As that air comes across the evaporator coil, 85% of all of the heat is collected. Once that happens, that refrigerant is then coming down in liquid refrigerant through the evaporator coil. It's now going to be warmed up refrigerant vapor, and then it's hitting the compressor. As it comes into that compressor, it's compressed down and made from warm vapor to a very hot vapor. And as you follow the cool line into the compressor as it comes down, and you follow line number 4, that's that hot vapor. That hot vapor refrigerant is now entering into the heat exchanger, and that's our patented ThermoLink heat exchanger. As it goes into the heat exchanger, the cooler water is hitting the hottest refrigerant at the top, and as that refrigerant is going down through our heat exchanger, the warmest possible water is coming out at the bottom and through the ThermoLink. And that's a titanium condenser, which has got a lifetime warranty inside, impervious to water chemistry. Okay. As I said, as that water passes through the ThermoLink, the hottest refrigerant is coming in contact with the coolest of water, therefore giving the best possible transfer and the warmest possible transfer as it exits back to the pool. That hot refrigerant, as that water comes off, is cooled down now and becomes a liquid again, and that cycle repeats itself. Very technical way to explain how a heat pump works. However, it's not as difficult as many people think. We're taking 85% of it as we turn that fan on and draw that air across the evaporator coil and extracting it, no matter the temperatures outside in most cases. Reversing units for AquaCal, for example, will work into the area of about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and that allows for heating in the cooler climates for a much longer time period. A heat pump does not burn energy to create heat. That's the most important thing anyone can remember. It's a mechanical collector of solar energy. It's not burning any fossil fuel of any kind to create heat. That's why the efficiencies are so high. Many people, when you start to explain this, I use the example of a grill. Most all of us have a natural gas grill or propane grill at home. And when we buy that brand new, it cooks a New York strip steak or a filet mignon perfectly in a time of 9 minutes or so, let's say. And then we go the following season, and now it's taking a little bit longer. And then the following year after that, it takes a little bit longer. And the reason for that is the burners inside natural gas, propane, or oil-fired heaters, the burners themselves start to change the orifice that the flame comes from. They get larger and larger as a result. Therefore, the efficiency actually decreases over time. That efficiency is the excess heat you feel when you walk up to your gas grill or you walk up to your gas pool heater. That excess heat is waste heat. That won't happen with a heat pump. That's why heat pumps in the coefficient of performances stay between 400 and 700%. And 4 being in the cold climates at about 50-degree air, that's where you see 400% efficiency. As it cools down, it's still more than 100% efficient on the energy dollar, where fossil fuels will never reach 100%. Overseas, you have KW heaters and things of that nature. That's a dollar for dollar exchange because it's dollar for dollar heat. That's the only thing that stays the same and equal. Heat pumps are always going to be more than 100% efficient, roughly around 400 as much as 700% efficient. We're always asked, why do most people choose AquaCal? Why are so many more people choosing AquaCal? Well, AquaCal is the largest swimming pool heat pump manufacturer in the world. In our peak during COVID, I think we built 44,000 units, if I'm not mistaken. Our average annual manufacturing production is around 24,000 a year. The next closest competitor in the US and the globe is probably in the area of 6,000 to 7,000 units a year. So we have a lot of experience in building heat pumps. AquaCal has been in business for over 40 years, pioneering the swimming pool heat pump industry, taking its technology and constantly advancing it with new patents and technological breakthroughs. For example, as I spoke about, our icebreaker technology, or our reversing units, are hot gas defrost. It's automatic hot gas defrost that allows us in cold climates, if someone has a reversing unit, to continue to heat in much lower ambient air temperatures, as that unit, by name, icebreaker, allows itself to build up ice around the unit and continue to build up ice, and then automatically reverses after a period of time to melt that ice off and go right back to heating. While traditional straight heat pumps, even AquaCal's, although AquaCal's temperature ranges are greater than most, there comes a point where the straight heat pump will not allow you to exceed a certain ambient temperature. AquaCal's Tropical and super quiet units straight heat units will operate in the area of 40 to 42 degrees Fahrenheit, while most other units in the market space are still cutting off at 54-degree ambient air. When that happens, there's no longer any heat going to the pool, and then it's not until that ambient condition warms back up that heat starts to get back into the pool from the heat pump that you're using. Another reason why people choose AquaCal is because we're working down to that low temperature overnight of 40 degrees, as well as having the icebreaker technology that's a automatic hot gas defrost, not a manual reversing unit. AquaCal is manufactured to this point well over 375,000 swimming pool heat pumps worldwide. I believe it's over 400,000 by now for sure. And we've had industry leaders come to us in the past to build their units, understanding that AquaCal builds a quality unit, and rather than not, they have come to us in the past to do that for them. AquaCal heat pumps are the most efficient, as I said. They set the industry standard for heat pump technology and reliability and performance. They're really a huge advantage when a retailer or a service company or a builder puts an AquaCal on site. You have customers constantly talking about referring more customers based on the performance of that unit, and more importantly, the service and support back at AquaCal in St. Petersburg with our customer service department. Our techs are always available for consult. Our sales team is always available for consult, whether it's someone like myself or any one of the other territory sales managers at AquaCal. They all are available and help our dealers, our retailers, our service companies understand how these units work, walk them through anything that they need to understand, and help them get to the right unit for the right project. We're very proud of the fact that every bit of our unit is made right there in St. Petersburg, Florida. A made in the USA motto is very important to us. The Super Quiet line, TropicAL line, and a bunch of others that I'm going to share with you here next. Additional reasons why people have chosen AquaCal: absolutely the quietest units on the market. We brought Super Quiet to the market and it became a hit. Many other manufacturers followed with Super Quiet or extra quiet or extremely quiet or ultimate quiet technology. We initiated that with Super Quiet technology and maintained the quietest units in the industry. Services that we sell with our 30 trucks on the field on the street in the US, mainly Florida and the Northeast. So we have a huge service outfit as it relates to the United States, particularly in Florida and the Northeast part of the United States, and service networks across the rest of North America. And we look at creating more service networks globally. When we have situations across the globe, we send our technicians out in the critical situations to make sure we handle them. One of the other things that's great about AquaCal is gentlemen like myself and our other sales team, we're very sound in our technical knowledge of our units, that when we support our team at Horton Express Worldwide and we support their customers, we're able to get something solved without making too much with service needs in the field by helping dealers handle themselves in certain repair situations. Our technicians, all of our technicians are CPO and HVA certified. It's critically important when you're servicing a heat pump that you understand its operation and you have the licensing to deal with the swimming pool as well. Not many people in the HVAC industry understand how pool works. Understanding the basics of hydraulics and how that may affect the unit is critically important. And that's why we vet our service centers. I'm sorry about that, folks. I don't know why that keeps going off. We set our service centers up to be effectively training in the field and always making sure that they're taking care of the customer and they understand how a pool works, not just how an air conditioning unit works. You know, AquaCal has said often that they have a multidisciplinary engineering staff, and we do. We have one of the most extensive engineering departments in swimming pool heat pump technology. We have a chamber which actually tests all type of climate conditions, extreme heat, desert-like temperatures to extreme cold temperatures, to make sure our units are operating. We bring in other manufacturers' units to test their capabilities based on the numbers that they present out there, because it's important to us to know and be truly transparent on a unit's capability and performance ability. And it's actually something that AquaCal prides themselves with an extensive engineering team that really makes the AquaCal unit, from a servicing side, installation side, and performance side, the very best available to all of you in the swimming pool industry. Continuing with that theme of the why, AquaCal offers a breadth of product capability coverage. Our Heatwave Super Quiet line, that has been the line that's been with us the longest. That brand, heat-only units, heat and cool units, and variable speed units. That's our pioneering product. We've had that. That's been the staple for us. We've built upon that and gone in and added TropiCal. TropiCal, an extensive line of units and BTU performing units that gives you an option from a cost perspective to meet your client's needs. Tropicool, the only complete chiller from a swimming pool manufacturer currently out there. Now everybody's joining that because there has been such a surgence in cold plunge and chilling. The Tropicool line has 3 models there available to us as well. Super excited about the GBB, the Great Big Bopper. That is the world's largest currently swimming pool heat pump, upwards of 500,000 BTUs per unit. It's the equivalent of 4 of our icebreaker units within one. We have projects all over the globe currently, in the Bahamas, all over the United States, Great Wolf Lodge, a lot of hotels, a lot of universities. They find the Great Big Bopper an amazing opportunity for their properties to heat and save money and be energy conscious, and get lifetime use out of those units because of the heat exchangers and their design, which is some of the challenges when you look at commercial properties. You have heat exchangers that fail because natural gas and fossil fuel, the way they burn on those units, and water chemistry can really, really damage them quickly. The Great Big Bopper with its 4 titanium heat exchangers is incredibly bulletproof against that. It makes a commercial property get the most use, longevity out of a heat pump that they possibly can. In addition, geothermal technology is one of the staples of AquaCal. We've been doing that as long as I've been around with AquaCal. Our water source units give us the capability of being truly geothermal, whether it's closed loop, whether it's well or retention pond use. We have the ability to fit any geothermal application. For example, one of my applications in Long Island, New York, is a 500,000 gallon pool at a country club that uses 6 of our WS10 water source units with a well-driven system, not closed loop, and they're able to keep that pool open year round as a result. Water source allows a lot more flexibility with the time of use of your units. It's really of your pools, excuse me. It's really a great way if the capabilities are there. In big cities where there are cooling towers, water source is a great option. Sun power is the ability to put a spa in a geothermal setting as it's being used off of a pool with an independent spa application. The sun power will allow you to use the pool water as its source. Because of the heat exchanger being titanium inside on the source, it again remains bulletproof and allows you to have an air source unit on one side and a geothermal unit on the spa side as an independent body, and keeping that spa heated to 104 degrees. Again, an example we have where we have sun powers in use here in New York State, down at a Tamarack Club, which is a ski resort about an hour and a half south of where I live here in Buffalo, New York. They keep their spas outdoors heated 104 degrees year round through the dead of winter, off of their gas heated outdoor pool that's heated year round at 86 degrees. And the reason they selected sun power was more of a space constraint, because as you see in its body design, they are cube shaped and they do not require any ambient air conditions. They are easy to be placed inside equipment rooms, inside structures, and they are stackable as units that, unlike air source units, you have to have those in series, parallel to one another. The water source units can be stacked, so you are saving space because you can go up with those units if you need multiple units in any case. There's more than 20 different models and sizes of heating and cooling options available at AquaCal, and that's why we are the world's largest independent manufacturer of swimming pool heat pumps. When we look at our microprocess controls in our TropiCal line, we currently have our HP10 model. That is a very simple model, a dial on-off switch. This is a weather-protected microprocessor control that allows us to operate from 60 to 104 degrees. It's part of the AquaCal heat-only line in the T5575, T90, and T135. The T135R reversing unit has our HP 11, our newest microprocessor. Unfortunately, I don't have that in our presentation here. We'll get that added. That is fully a 24-character microprocessor that brings a lot more to the table. This is easily the HP 10, easiest to use, simple. There's 2 LED lights. You set your temperature set point, and as the temperature rises, that changes. It's really simple. A lot of people have liked this. We thought we were going retro, and people said this is a lot easier for them to manage. It's easy and compatible with all external controllers. All of our microprocessors are simple to set up with any IntelliTouch, AquaLink, OmniLogic, any of those out there. We can communicate with our 2-wire connection. So you have full control through automation. And we now have pool sync system, which gives us automation control in our super quiet line and our reversing line, built in the heat pump. It's a flip out lockable control panel, which keeps it protected from the sun. We've made a lot of improvements in that in past. You've had to really manage that open flap. We've made a magnetic drop, so it's simple and easy for that to open and close. And again, it protects from UV as a result. And homeowners over the last couple of years have found that to be very helpful and useful for them to save that display and give them longevity in their control panel. As I said, we have a smart microprocessor control. Current version was the HP9, 24-character control. As you can see in this display, pool temp 77 degrees, a heat set point of 79. That would show as the pool reaches temperature, it would say pool at temperature. If there were any indications of anything wrong with the unit, whether it's flow related, high pressure related, that would be spelled out on that display. It makes it easier to diagnose and reference back to AquaCal service department what might be going on with the unit. It has the ability again to connect with any external controller through a 2-wire connection, and most importantly now, it has built-in onboard pool sync system technology and basic automation already ready to be used. Any of the HP9 units that are out there currently can manage most all variable speed pumps directly through their dashboard. The upgrade to HP11 gives us much more advantage with pool sync system. HP9 has pool sync system capability, which brings to the table 3 actuators and 3 relay uses. We'll go into that a little bit more down the road here. The hybrid functionality can initiate a gas heater when gas heat is needed, an extra boost. That was a software component we had. We found that it wasn't used often, and now that's coming back. So that software update is going to be brought back alive through HP11. But having the ability to do a hybrid system with gas and heat pump, you're going to find that the microprocessor will help you be able to control that and make it simple for you to have that kind of application. How quiet is super quiet? Well, within 10 feet of our units, you can't hear it at all. You may notice the top of the unit has changed. We've had the AquaTop for years. We found that the AquaTop was great until we found that it wasn't. The AquaTop has a restriction of airflow, and it pushes the flow out to the sides and out and away from the unit because cold air naturally drops. So we want to get it away from the unit. If we can't get it away, you want it to freely go up. Well, we found that in certain instances, you have a great installation, a great setup by a pool builder, and then the homeowner comes behind you and fences it all in. Well, with the current AquaTop, that air would be blowing off the top of the unit directly into the sides of the fence and then dropping right back down into that area, chilling that area, reducing the efficiency of the heat pump. A simple solution to that, take the AquaTop off, allow that air to go straight up in that fenced equipment area, and it gets right back to its best performing efficiencies. In this case, we've redesigned the top, come out with a beautiful collar, so we will have this moving forward, and the AquaTop will be an option depending on location. But the super quiet line now Looks just like you see it here with that beautiful collar on top, allowing all that cold air or warm air, depending if you're in cooling mode, to escape the unit versus drop back into the area and changing the climate around the unit, effectively affecting its performance. When it comes to quiet, though, it is very, very quiet. Within 10 feet, you can't hear it. A lot of times at our trade shows, we'll run these units with a IntelliFlow pump or some variable speed pump, keep that at a low RPM, and still you'll hear the swimming pool pump over the AquaCal super quiet unit. It's incredibly quiet. It's great when you have to be close to the home or the property or anywhere where someone would hear it. If you don't have to be close to the home and you have it off by a pool house, off of the property from in a distance, it's not the most important feature, but it is a feature nonetheless that people absolutely love. We were the first to bring it to the market, and now everybody's super quiet, as you've seen as heat pumps have come out in the marketplace. ThermoLink technology, excuse me. That's our heat exchanger. It's one of the things that we've been proudest of. Heat exchangers are very important in heat pumps. The fact and the ability to have ThermoLink technology, our patented technology, taking the hottest of refrigerant vapor and the coldest of water, combining them together to exit the pool at the warmest possible temperature, is patented by us, and we're something that we're very proud of. When you look at this unit at the top right, that's a standard tube-in-tube heat exchanger that's been found in a number of units. They've since changed some of those designs. That titanium tube internally is twisted. It is bulletproof to water chemistry, limited lifetime, because it's stretched and the velocity of water going through it, it has the potential to get wear and potentially have leaks from erosion, not from chemical use and damage. So that's one of the reasons why twisted titanium isn't necessarily the best option, but when you have titanium, it's a great option. The total cost of operation, cost to purchase your heater, and the cost to operate your heater is one of the most important things that make the flow of water and performance and efficiency in ThermoLink a leader in heat pump technology. You will be told by a lot of other manufacturers, the lower the purchase price, the higher the operating cost. That's a big deal when you really realize that, hey, this heat pump may cost $1,000 less, but it's using a type of heat exchanger technology that doesn't deliver the highest efficiencies. You're going to always be able to use a variable speed pump with a titanium ThermoLink heat exchanger because we do not have the major pressure drops that you see in other systems. As low as 25 gallons a minute with a ThermoLink heat exchanger to deliver the highest, again, efficiency. The slower that you're able to run your pump, the more efficient your pump is in RPMs. The slower you're able to run the water through the heat exchanger to a point gives you the maximum heat exchange. You don't want to go too slow in any heat pump because that heat that stays in the unit can become a problem over time. You want to make sure that you're meeting the parameters that the manufacturer has designed. In our case, we say 30 to 70 gallons a minute. We've seen a positive result from as low as 30 and 25 to 30 gallons a minute, and have performance out there, especially here in the Northeast, where variable speed pumps have been rampant for the last 10 years, 15 years. People running their heat pumps at 1750 RPMs, getting super efficiency out of the pool pump as well as the heat pump as a result. The patented ThermoLink titanium heat exchanger allows a lot of units to run as low as 1500 RPMs. In the next slide, I'm going to show you an example of that and some information we provided from Florida. That in comparison to 2350, that other units seem to operate, which is a savings of about $25 to $94 a month with variable speed operation. Because it's 2-inch full flow and no restrictions, that allows us to turn the RPMs down and get a better performance overall for the pump and the heat pump combined. It's really an advantage. ThermoLink patented heat exchangers should be talked about every time you talk about heat pumps. Talking about AquaCal, talk about heat pumps by brand. AquaCal and patented technology like ThermoLink and icebreaker technology really makes a difference when you're talking with a homeowner or talking with a property and selling a product that they want to find the very best performance and efficiencies as well as longevity. Most important thing you can do is save money when you're running a heat pump. That's what this does. It allows us to do that. The total cost of operation by reducing the flow makes that happen. All other heat exchangers don't have this feature. Again, that's why it's patented. The purchase of an AquaCal may be slightly higher than most competitors, but the total cost of operation overall is an advantage to you, an advantage to your customer. It's going to be significantly less as a result. When you think of variable speed pumps, for example, and Pentair introduced the variable speed pump more than 10 years ago, they talked about 85% energy savings. Well, in a perfect scenario of a pool that's covered with a screen in or something like that, you have no debris falling in, and the filter doesn't get dirty, yeah, you can run it down and save 85%. You can run it at 1,100 gallons a minute, or excuse me, 1,100 RPMs. Truth of the matter is, those weren't always the scenarios that everyone was facing. And the advent of variable speed pumps by every manufacturer, we're talking of that advantage. Well, when you add the additional pieces of equipment to that pool, it also changed the ability to run at those low RPMs. Why? Because other heating elements, other heat pumps have heat exchangers that don't allow full flow. They have a lot of restriction. They're 1.5 inches coming in, and they have additional restrictions inside the heat exchanger. The AquaCal ThermoLink patented heat exchanger is 2-inch full flow. It's made the variable speed pump its best friend as a result, because then the claims that variable speed pump manufacturers make can hold true when you have the consideration of an AquaCal as the heating element downstream of that pump and filter. So keep that in mind when you're talking to your customers. If they truly want the advantage of a variable speed pump, they're going to want to have an AquaCal heat pump on the product. That's just going to be proof in its performance. You're going to see that as we talk about the costs. As I said, we were going to compare some examples and using the IntelliPro VS pump in this case, because it was the very first to come out. When you look at the top line of this across the top, it says pump speed, energy used, the hours run, energy used per day, energy used in 30 days, and then the cost per month. This example is for Florida, and it's going to be a cost of I believe it was 14 cents or thereabouts on a kilowatt. But if you look at that at 1,560 RPMs, and it's actually consuming 350 watts, and the pump is running for 10 hours at 3.5 kilowatts per day and 105 kilowatts used over 30 days, the cost is $14.70. In comparison to most all other heat pumps, which is the gray line, they have to operate at 2350 to have the best flow through that heat exchanger, because it is reduced 1.5 inch plumbing and they have restrictions inside. That energy use doubles. No, it does triple. 350 watts used to 1,000 watts. So when we talk about that over 10 hours of run, that's 10 kilowatts. That's 300 kilowatts used, $42 cost versus $14.70 using the same pump. It's really incredible how much the AquaCal makes a difference because of the patented ThermoLink titanium heat exchanger. Always speak of AquaCal patented ThermoLink heat exchangers being the reason why VS pumps can perform at their most efficient. And this will help the homeowners understand that if that's what they want, they're going to get the best performance out of it. It may cost a little bit more upfront, but you're certainly going to see the savings over time. It's going to save them 2/3 at least. That's an annual savings of $327 to as much as $1,315 a year when using an AquaCal with ThermoLink technology. What happens too often as I talk to pool builders and retailers and dealers, we start talking about heat pumps and pool pumps. It's very important to keep your brand out there and speak to brand specifics. AquaCal, ThermoLink, heat pump, heat exchanger. It's important because the brand matters and the patents matter, and it's better for your consumer. If you think about that, and any one of you as a pool company or service company, you're not just pool company, you're not just service company, you're Triton pools, you're Swim King pools, you're Done Right pools, you're all these companies by name, and your name matters and your brand matters. Like AquaCal, we have integrity, we believe in our product, we build a great product, and we want to make sure the brand does not become a commodity. It happens to us in our industry all too often. We want to be strong about that. Remember, brands matter. AquaCal, ThermoLink, patented heat exchanger. It stands alone amongst all other heat pumps in the industry worldwide. It's going to deliver on the performance especially in the use of variable speed pumps. If we want to be energy efficient, we want an AquaCal ThermoLink patented heat exchanger and an AquaCal heat pump. A difference worth paying for, no doubt. AquaCal has released the T135R. So as we talked about, our reversing units have now expanded. We have the SQ120R, and now we have the SQ120R, SQ166R, and now the T135R. It's one of a kind in its icebreaker technology. That's, again, a patented hot gas defrost, automatic hot gas defrost in our unit. It senses the ability to allow ice to build up around the outside of that unit. Once the ice builds up to a certain point, it automatically goes into hot gas defrost, melts it back down, allows the unit to come back and heat. Again, that gives us the much broader Northeast coverage, colder climate coverage into a wider season, giving us the opportunity to continue to perform when all others are going to just shut down. The weather protected microprocessor control, it's a full text LCD, as we said, current use of HP11 technology, as both HP9 and HP7 older technology has now gone away. And it continues to heat in freezing temperatures to minimize heat loss. A lot of people in colder climates say, oh, I just want to heat, I don't need a heat and cool unit. The advantage of a reversing unit, the advantage of an icebreaker is that it allows you to work longer in the colder climates. So no matter where you are, whether it's in Canada or it's in Northeast or the Midwest, it gives us a much broader range to control heat loss and keep heat in the pool. I'll give you an example of a pool here in Buffalo, New York, that we opened in April 19th and close in November. That pool has an SQ120R on it and it's kept at 86 degrees. And the reason we talk about this particular pool, it's a 17,000 gallon pool, not all that big, but nonetheless, from April 19th in Buffalo, New York to November, it can snow, even possibly in June and July sometimes. But nonetheless, it allows a pool owner to enjoy their pool all the time. That icebreaker technology operating down into freezing temperatures, as a temperature might warm up like today, currently 68 degrees outside, the overnight temperature might be in the 40s, or in April could be as low as in the 30s. The icebreaker unit's going to continue to work to stem off the heat loss. That pool's got to be covered, of course, but it's going to stem off the heat loss with the ability of allowing ice to build up, hot gas defrost, melting the ice off, and it go back to heating. For example, on that pool I'm talking about, they ran that pool for 14 hours a day. As that pool got up to 86 degrees, with it being covered in April, in the morning when the pool started back up, because it had icebreaker technology, it stayed and held at 77. And within a matter of 4 hours, it was back up to 86 degrees because of the ability of an icebreaker, no matter what the temperature was outside. One of the things that consumers need to be aware of with icebreaker technology, especially if they've never seen it before in a colder climate, as that ice builds up, the unit does some things that are pretty unique. That ice builds up on the outside, the unit goes into hot gas defrost. The first thing they hear is a sound, and they see steam coming off the top of the unit. If it's the first time for a homeowner and they've never understood that, you get a phone call that says their heat pump's blowing up or starting on fire. Not the case. It's melting off the ice and getting back to work. I had that example, and I've dealt with that with my father-in-law. It was an unbelievable story, but nonetheless, he found out that his pool heat pump was just fine, and it was just part of the process. So understand that when you're using an icebreaker, it's going to do something just like that as it builds up ice and melts it down. It's great technology, and now the AquaCal line has the T135R, which is great for all of us. Pool sync technology, I've mentioned it a few times. Pool sync brings a whole new game to AquaCal Autopilot, particularly our AquaCal units. Because of the HP11 microprocessor, we have the ability to control our chlorine generators, as well as up to 4 actuators and 6 relays with Pool Sync and Pool Sync system. Why? Because the HP11 microprocessor is the same type of microprocessor you have in an IntelliTouch, in an AquaLink, and OmniLogic. It allows us to control 4 actuators, control lights, control all types of automation by adding Pool Sync and Pool Sync system to our AquaCal super quiet line and reversing units. It's a great cost-effective way to bring automation to the table. When every pool that's built is built with a sub panel to start, anywhere in retro markets where HP9 units are, Pool Sync system can be added and deliver 3 actuators and 3 relay capabilities. HP11 allows for six relays and 4 actuators, bringing full automation to the hands of AquaCal through PoolSync system and the simplicity of PoolSync antenna and setup. It again covers all variable speed pumps: Hayward, Pentair, Jandy, Aquastar, Century, Green Energy, and we're constantly looking at adding more. It gives us the option to be out there in the marketplace for all of you, where you may have had AquaCal heat pumps, super quiet heat pumps that have the HP9 microprocessor since 2019 and forward. Now you can go back. If they didn't do automation initially, they can do automation with PoolSync system. Now, worldwide scenarios, I believe PoolSync system is working in most areas at this point. It does take 2.4 gigahertz technology. It's a cloud-based and Wi-Fi controlled system. It does not have a hardwire capability. However, the PoolSync antenna can be placed up to 1,000 feet away from the equipment. So it can be placed at the site of the property, at the side of the property, and a 24 gauge communication wire can be run up to 1,000 feet away, depending on the location of where the heat pump is, to begin the process of controlling that automation. It's a huge, huge opportunity for retailers, service centers, aftermarket, new build construction to offer an automation capability with an AquaCal heat pump and bring lights, actuators, landscape lighting, sound, what have you, into the equation without putting a IntelliTouch, IntelliCenter, Aqualink, Omnilogic, or one of the other hubs out there. It's a great opportunity, and it's a great cost-effective price. AquaCal heat pumps with smart and/or dial HP9, HP11, or HP10 can use a PoolSync. The HP9 and HP11 can do PoolSync system complete. And again, as I said, control up to 6 relays and 4 actuators. Super simple, easy. And what's nice about it is back at AquaCal, we have mission control that helps us stay on top of what might be going on with units that are connected to PoolSync. We see and can monitor any error codes and things that are happened. If a homeowner has PoolSync on their system, we're able to help diagnose things in advance or over the phone, and we can see what's going on for them when talking to the homeowner and they're dialed into their PoolSync. It's really an advantage for service centers as well. It gives the service center technician to have the capabilities of understanding what might be going on in a particular property. For example, if it had a heat pump on there and there was a water flow issue, they would see a notification about a flow issue, and they would know that's what they need to address when they get there. It's great. It's an advantage to all companies, whether you're a builder, a retail service center, or service company. PoolSync added to your super quiet heat pumps or your TropicAL icebreaker units or your TropicAL units with your HP10. It's going to make things simpler. If you happen to also be an autopilot dealer and you're using our ChlorSync or our Gen 2, it makes that even more user-friendly as well. The antenna, as you see it here, has a great replaceable antenna on top. It'll make simple extension antennas available. So if you're out and about and you see that you're not getting a great signal and you want to expand the antenna size, the PoolSync antenna will let you do that. The PoolSync app is available on Android and Apple, so it works with all systems. It allows you to adjust the modes of heat and cool, auto temp when applicable with an icebreaker unit, something that people don't understand, that if you want to keep a pool precise on a commercial property, 84 or 82, let's say it's a competitive pool, 80, 82, you can set that AquaCal super quiet unit icebreaker to auto ACH, auto cool and heat, and it will maintain within 2 degrees that temperature back and forth to keep that consistent. That PoolSync antenna will allow you to do that through the control of the PoolSync app. When you think of AquaCal in general, any of our smart technology, the PoolSync antenna is going to connect to. It's really an advantage given for the homeowner, ease of use. Everyone today is looking for some way to control their devices outside of the home from the palm of their hand all over the globe. This will allow them to do that. It's technology that we've been waiting for at AquaCal. We're happy to have it. We've had it out now for more than a couple of years. It's doing great things, making things super easy for everyone out there to take advantage of. And I hope that if you haven't started looking at PoolSync control with your AquaCal swimming pool heat pumps, super quiet line and icebreaker line, you take a look at it, because it will make your jobs easier and more enjoyable for the homeowner because they won't have to walk outside to make control changes. They can do it right from the palm of their hand. And wherever they have a variable speed pump, with that smart control technology that we have, they can get that wired in now, and they can now become semi-automation without having a full automation system, or they can go to full pool sync system and really expand to full wide range at a much more affordable cost than in the past. Lastly, affordability of AquaCal, again, 25% of the cost of heating with natural gas. There's a 12 to 15-year life cycle on a swimming pool heat pump. AquaCal, particularly by its way, build and design, you're going to see at least 12 to 15 years out of our units. You can afford to heat your pool for the entire swim season. I talked about this with my father-in-law. He had a natural gas swimming pool for the longest time. We put a heat pump on it. He used to brag about the fact that he only spent about $1,200 a season heating his pool, but he only did it for 5 weekends: Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, Mother's Day, and his favorite of 5 daughters' birthdays. That's great. $1,200 over 5 weekends, or more importantly, 18 days. By having a heat pump, you can start your pool up. You can heat it all season, keep it that way for about the same cost to just a little bit more than that gas heater. For 18 days, you can get yourself 90 to 120 days here in the Northeast out of a heat pump for about the same operating cost of that of a natural gas or propane heater over a few weekends over time. It's amazingly powerful, the AquaCal ThermoLink technology, the ability to work with variable speed pumps. You heat your pool, rain or shine. It is a mechanical collector of solar energy. People that are really keen on green energy technologies, AquaCal has been a leader in keeping that carbon footprint at its lowest and bringing more technology coming forward here in the very near future, getting into what we know as inverter technology. I'm not going to go more than say that that's on the horizon with AquaCal. It's really exciting to know that we're getting into that as well. Heat pumps are green and have virtually no effect on our carbon footprint. And again, the COPs, the performance data, is there for us to really understand its value. Every energy dollar in is going to give you up to $7 of energy back. It's a huge advantage by buying AquaCal, and it's particularly because the ThermoLink patented heat exchanger and its design and its ability to work with variable speed pumps. Lastly, if I'd like to touch on how you size the heat pump, if we have a few more minutes, and I think it's important to understand the proper way to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the AquaCal website and show you what's really important to us, our sizing and estimator, and how to calculate the proper unit for that. All right, when you go to AquaCal's website, one of the most important things you can do to make sure you properly size for pool spa applications the heat pump you want and desire. Many homeowners will do a lot of research on their own, and they'll go find the heat pump that they think they want. You take into consideration that that's about mostly with them cost and spending versus sizing it properly to get the performance needed and the desire that they want out of their swimming pool heat pump. By going to AquaCal's website and you go to our introductory point of that, let's see if this will switch for me. You come up to our pool and spa sizing and savings calculator. As you notice here, this banner across the top, that'll always appear on the front page at aquacal.com. You can click on that and it'll bring you right to this page that you see here. I'm going to slide this up and we're going to talk about these very important components. Whether it's a heating application, a cooling application, or a spa application, we can calculate the proper size for you. For example, in this case, we'll use a basic pool here in the Northeast. We'll actually, or any pool for that matter, we'll call it 19,200 gallons. We can pick anywhere in the country. Once we enter this information in a standard form, whether it's a rectangle, circle, or free form, it's going to tell us the gallons of water. Why that's important is you need to know that 1 BTU heats 1 pound of water 1 degree. The weight of the water is what's most important about heating applications, not just surface area. You need to know the true volume and weight of your water because BTUs heat a specific way, whether it's fossil fuel or a heat pump or an AquaCal. It's always based on the weight of the water. You then go on to select your heat source, whether it's air or geothermal. In this case, we'll stick with air. And what's great about it is it allows us to select a location. In this case, it's picking Virginia for some reason. I can click on Get Current Location, and it's going to start to cycle and look for the location that we're at, and it's going to put that location in its place. As we move on, We added whether we have wind conditions and our hertz, whether it's 60 hertz or 50 hertz, we're going to make sure we're sizing appropriately and offering the units that are available in that area. In this case, we have no wind application. We have 60 hertz. If you continue down, you'll see that it's already provided us our electrical rate for that area. And we then go into our swim season selected. This is very important because you want to know from your homeowner or your property how long they intend to heat. Some properties, some communities are only going to heat Memorial Day to Labor Day here in the United States. So they're going to have a specific window. In this case, we'll do that selection from June 1st all the way through Labor Day. That's the desired swim season of most community pools that have an outdoor pool here in the Northeast in a community park. Down at the below that, we have our temperature desired. 80 is considered competition swim temperatures. Most people like to keep their pools up to 86 degrees, 84 degrees, what have you. You can slide and glide across here as desired temperature, and it's going to help us indicate specifically what type of unit we're going to recommend, and more importantly, make sure we're delivering on that temperature request. To the right, you see that it automatically selects a unit for you. It's, in this case, the SQ225 is the unit that it's selecting for us. And it says that before we do anything, the operating run times, if you keep that pool covered in that area, it's going to be 2.5 hours. If you use Aqua Blanket by Low-Chlor, it's 3.8 hours. And if you don't cover the pool during this season, it's 6.3. This case tells us exactly the unit that we recommend for this year. However, we may say that we want to be able to have the ability to keep it in auto cool and heat. So we can change it and select a SQ166R instead, and it gives us the same blanketed Aqua Blanket by Low-Chlor and no blanket scenario of runs. From here, we then can do a generation of cost estimation. Based on that electrical kilowatts, that's what ends up bringing us this data. This data then says with that SQ166R, the heat pump with a blanket on it's going to cost them $195 a year to operate. If you use Aqua Blanket from Low-Chlor, it's $292. If you don't use any blanket in this market, you're going to be spending $488 using a heat pump. This is all great information for most homeowners. This is as far as most of you need to go. But a lot of them will say, well, what's that compared to my natural gas heater? So in this case, looking to the left, comparing gas heating costs, we're going to select natural gas rate in that region. We can look up that data. We can ask for that information from the homeowner or the property. In this case, we're going to enter that data for here. I know that costs to be $125 per therm. We're going to call this project name Kisa Park. I'm currently working on this project. Disclaimers. This is very important for every pool builder, retailer, service company selling a heat pump or selling an AquaCal in this case. Here's where you put the information that the community and or the homeowner is requesting. The community is requesting that the pool be 86 degrees from 6/1 through 9/15. Why is that important? And then you initial it. Because if they come back after they are given this report and they say, you know what, we've put the pool at 90 in May and it didn't get up to temperature in the time you said and it cost us more. Well, the disclaimer in your request when we did the audit and why we designed the audit to be specific is that you said you wanted 86 degrees from June 1st to September 15th. If you wanted 90 degrees in May, we would have done an audit for 90 degrees in May and been able to explain to you what you can estimate a cost of operation would be. Without putting information in the disclaimer, you can't protect yourself from a property or a homeowner trying to get more out of you after they're exceeding the limits that they actually bought the product for. It's something that I advise everyone to use because it's something that AquaCal will stand behind because its data is over the last 30 years as it relates to weather data, and it really becomes valuable to the end user knowing that we mean what we say and we're going to stand behind it. We can go to view monthly cost breakdown, and this is something that we can end up sending directly to the property and or the homeowner. And why I said weight of water matters is right here. Let me talk about that. When you look at the pool size data, we talk about it wanting to be 86 degrees, and there's 11-degree differential in temperature, and it's 60 hertz in its air. But more importantly, it's 512 square foot of surface area. The average depth is 5 feet. The pool volume is 19,200 gallons, but the weight of water is 159,936 pounds. 1 BTU heats 1 pound of water 1 degree. So we have a BTU replacement requirement. We need 11 degrees replacement based on the average temperatures in this area. And that means if 1 BTU heats 1 pound of water 1 degree, we have a volume of replacement BTUs that are now known. So let's look at that. When we look at peak heating details, if it's blanketed, the heat loss per day is 2.26 degrees. The peak required BTUs is 361,000, and therefore we're going to need 3 hours of runtime, because we know that the SQ166 delivers 126,000 BTUs. We need 2.9 run hours to achieve 361,000 BTU replacement. If you use Aqua Blanket by low chlor, you're going to have a heat loss of 3.39 degrees. So we need 542,000 BTUs. Divide that by the BTUs of the unit. That tells you the runtime that you need. So when you're looking at our AquaCal units and you're trying to compare them, this is how you do that. And no blanket is going to be a loss of 5.6. 904,000 BTUs are needed to recover the heat, or 7.2 hours of actual runtime. Again, taking the BTUs of the unit and dividing it into the peak required BTUs is going to give you the runtime. So whatever heat pump you might be using, if you want to look at that, you can do this. But AquaCal and Thermalink patented technology is going to stand behind this particular audit and give your customer more peace of mind as a result overall. So when we look at this, the other thing that's great about this example is the cost breakdown. Again, this is just the heat pump, and this is going to be the monthly and annual cost broken down over annual, 5-year, or 10-year. It's really useful for the homeowner when we do that. If we go back one page and we go back to our gas generated cost, we can add that to that column. Going back to the top, it's a 69% savings over natural gas. In this particular case, blanketed of $195 to $627. And then when you go back to the report, generate now the report with the gas estimation included. All the data on the top is the same. The run hours are the same. But now you have 2 columns to share with the homeowner: heat pump versus the gas, and the volume and savings overall, 69%. AquaCal is going to stand behind this. We are very proud of it. One other thing that I can state about AquaCal units, they're a firm believer in the AHRI standard 1160, which measures the performance of every heat pump at 50-degree air, 80-degree water, and 63% humidity. That's a performance data that delivers the BTU performance at that 50-degree air, which is very important, and which also requires that heat pump to perform at a 4.0 or better efficiency. So the energy dollar in is going to get at least 400% or 4 energy dollars out. AHRI standard 1160 requires all units to be tested. Everyone that adheres to it, AHRI standard, they have those same testing parameters. They too are required to do the same thing. It's a great piece of information to have when you're comparing other heat pumps to AquaCal and their performance. But most importantly, AquaCal has the patented Thermalink heat exchanger technology that no one else has. And that's why with variable speed pumps, we are the most efficient operation, operating at lower flow rates down to as little as 25 gallons per minute. We prefer 30, but we can operate as low as 25 gallons per minute. That way we get the most efficiency out of everything we provide from AquaCal. I hope this information was helpful. The sizing, I went through it rather quickly. I can spend as much time with any of you that want to contact me at mikek@aquacal.com, or reach out to me via telephone at 203-536-9494. I'll repeat that again, 203-536-9494, or at my email address of mikek, MIKEK @aquacal.com. I'm glad to help in any way I can for anyone with regards to our sizing, more detailed information that you might want technically regarding our heat pumps, and any other questions as it relates to AquaCal Autopilot overall. I hope this information was valuable. I'll turn it back over to Greg. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate that, Mike. Thank you very much. And so again, just to, if you have any questions, Mike's given you his details, but you're welcome to contact us, your Horner Express salesperson as well, or contact me at gbarnes@teamhorner.com. I think that concludes that. So thank you everybody for joining us. We probably do another one next month on autopilot, but we'll send out all that information as soon as we have it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.